Welcome, welcome back to SpeakPact. I'm so glad you're here. And I know you are going to be glad you are here too, because I have a fabulous guest who is going to fill your toolbox with lots of strategies to build your business through the power of speaking. Welcome to the stage, Ivy Slater. Thank you so much for joining me.
Thank you so much for having me here. I'm so excited to talk to you.
I am super excited to dig in because you just have a wealth of, number one, experience. You've owned a wonderful company for 16 years. I mean,
Yeah,
that kind of
this is my second company, and it's 16 years. Before that, the company I owned before that was over 20.
wowza.
I must have started at 13.
Yeah, I was just going to say, were you five? Well, it's treated you well, obviously, and you have had a lot of successes along the way. You have a beautiful book that I think any business person needs to have in their arsenal, From Bar to Boardroom. So we'll be talking a little bit about that. You also have an really important podcast that if you're serious in business, you should be listening to, and that is her success story. That's I think you said 7-year running. I have had the privilege of, not only do I follow the podcast, but I've had the privilege of being on it. And
And a
her success,
fabulous episode, I must say. I
yes, it
must
was
say, it
so
was
much
a
fun.
great episode.
So much fun. You're an amazing host. You drew it out of me. I shared things I didn't plan on sharing. So anyone who hasn't caught that one, go to her success story. You're on all of the majors, right?
All the majors.
Yep. Ivy Slater. All right, Ivy, tell me a little bit about what put you on the path to really helping other companies not only scale, but plan for their succession. Like that's not something that is really common.
Um, so as I mentioned briefly, this is my second business. So I had a midlife crisis at 45. And I was in the printing industry for over 20 years. Now I needed to exit a 7-figure company that I built because I was like, I can't do this anymore. It wasn't a retirement plan. It wasn't, oh, I was not ill, thank goodness, knock on wood. It was just like, hit the wall, I'm done. But this was the livelihood for my family. This was the livelihood for other people in our organization. You just don't decide to close the door. You don't take that lightly.
Mhm.
And when I started Slater Success, and it took me a while to get truly all my ducks in a row. And we've started in the last, maybe out of 10 and 12 out of the 16, really helping businesses truly scale. And one of the things that we've kept seeing is what happens when somebody exits. And it's not about retirement always. Like for me, I was not going on to retire. And that's when I started realizing you need to think about a succession plan with your strategic plan, because you don't know. You think it's going to be your seniors that are out at whatever age that is. That's not always true. We have people exiting companies in leadership positions in a variety of different stages of their life for various reasons. And we need a company to succeed in that long term. So I just started incorporating thoughts of succession as I would do strategic planning with companies, and I've gotten known for it. And now I come in sometimes for the strategic plan and we talk succession, or the succession plan and we talk strategic plan.
I love that. And you've been all over. You Google Ivy Slater or Slater. It's a
Slater
Slater,
Success, and you
Slater
will
Success
find all about us.
everywhere. And it's for a good reason, right? You're right. You never know what's going to happen. Who foresaw the Great Resignation, right? You lose your team, you lose your company. There's a lot of companies that just haven't survived that. So what
And
happens
people
next?
don't think about, Antoinette, one of the things that like it was in the back of my head before, people don't think about, they're thinking about the people, which is important. but it's also the longevity of knowledge. How are we going to store this knowledge? There's a company that we're talking to now, and they're like, they have three senior leaders that by their bylaws have to exit in the next 2 to 3 years.
Mm.
And it's these people aren't necessarily ready to exit. It's the bylaws of the organization, but it's the knowledge base that must be captured and planned for in that long term.
I know that most business people are thinking about, I just want to scale. I just want to scale, right? They're not thinking about succession. So I'm glad that you're even bringing this into our orbit, that that right now, while things are going great, while we're growing, we also need to be thinking about our exit plan. And I love that you're bringing this up for my purposes as well, because I come across high level, high achieving CEOs, um, entrepreneurs, doctors who own their own clinics, all, you know, all levels of high achieving professionals who have put in their dues. They've worked at their craft for 10 years, some 20 years, and they're tired, and they have a lot of built up curated knowledge that if they could just kind of sidestep a little bit, get onto stages, pass the torch to the next generation, get into workshops, into corporate meetings, right? And just really kind of train those others who are coming up, who are them maybe 10 years ago or so, then that's a whole new career in itself, and it's exciting, and it's a new way to approach your expertise. But you really, if you're bogged down with the day-to-day for years on end, then that can never really happen. You need to set yourself up for those freedoms. So you're not just looking at, hey, when I want to retire, you're looking at, hey, when I get my team to the place where I want it to be, and they've got it, right? And I can maybe step aside a little bit, give myself a little more freedom to explore some other things. Maybe not necessarily sell the company, but you're still, to me, that's still kind of a succession plan. Am I off in that?
Yeah, no, because you want to look at leadership. There's succession planning for a variety of different ways and different reasons. There's companies that are family and generational owned, and all of a sudden your next generation isn't that interested.
Mm,
Okay, that's a reason you start looking, right? There's companies and organizations that based on age, there's bylaws in place, especially there's actually some very big companies out there that have mandatory retirement ages, right? And what these people, we're living so healthy and long, and knock on wood 1,000 times. What are you going to do with your next 30 to 35 years? Right? We're not ready to just have hobbies. We want more interest. We want to continue to develop. Right? So there's an opportunity to build something else. The companies themselves, we want to be looking at what are the different things. And then there's the unusual exits, unfortunate illness, family responsibility, moving, so much has gone virtual, but not everything.
hmm You're
Y- y-
right. Does your book, From Bar to Boardroom, dive into succession planning, or is that another, how do people find out more about that with you?
Interesting, great question, actually. From the bar to the boardroom, the subtitle for that is Choreographing Business Success Through Authentic Relationships. And we talk about in Bar to the Boardroom, the value of and the importance of truly building relationships. And my personal viewpoint is that is the golden ticket to every business. My next book that is due out this year is going to be covering more in succession planning. And as a teaser, we're just developing right now, that should be out probably in March, April, a lead magnet that's going to be talking specifically about it. So truly just we're comprising an article, a checklist, and a video download. So you can get some just quick, fast info, because we're
Love
just
that.
being asked a lot. So I knew we needed to do this.
Okay, so how do we get that?
Um, Actually, if you, It is going to be complete in March and April. We kicked this off due to a high demand in 2023 and the amount of work we started doing in this space and people asking questions. I said, ethically, holiday break, I said, I need to build a resource.
Mhm.
But I'm almost done with the book. We have a chapter on it. I said, but I need a resource like now. You know how long it takes to publish a book. It's like,
Yes.
we need a resource now. So we kick this off. I'm proofing it literally the day we're recording this. So you got to give me roughly to 30 to 45 days and it will be ready. But either you'll do two things, either just go to Slater Success or reach out to me through LinkedIn.
Or follow her success story and you're going to get the 411,
Correct.
right? Yeah,
Yes.
putting you on the spot, putting the pressure on, but we're going to be watching for
Now I
that.
really have to finish proofing that.
Okay, so tell me a little bit about, let's dive in a little bit about what your book dives deeper into, and that's how do relationships really relate to business?
I truly think it's the golden nugget. It's the cornerstone. You could read 1,000 books and you're going to read 1,000 times that people do business with people they know, like, and trust. And people still think they're buying from, just online. But why are we reading all those reviews? We might not know those people, but we want a personal input. And when we trust somebody, right? If somebody says, oh, I go to this store and they have great this, I'm probably going to go to that store or buy from that store online and buy great that. We truly do follow the people we trust in our world.
Mhm.
A client started with me last year and they came to me literally, and I thought it was out of the blue, but I checked my database. I'm very good at like the details here. And got on the phone and they said, Ivy, we met X amount of, the last few years at this networking group, but I was just talking, I was at a bar association event and I was speaking to this person. And they mentioned your name and I remembered meeting you. That's doing
Wow.
business, right? We build relationships. There's so much online, but we need people to people touch points and we need the memories. It's our memories and our story. So Antoniette, as somebody who guides so many speakers out there, okay, when we get out to speak, and I'll say when I get out to speak, right, I'm not alone in this. I have learned, or we have learned many times, don't over detail, right?
Yeah.
Don't start giving all those bullet points and facts and figures and X% of this and this and this and X% of women business owners and 5% of this and 30% of this, right? Get out and pull that into a story. And when that person leaves that room, they're going to say, oh my goodness, I remember when Ivy said, she was telling us about this story of her daughter in college and how building this relationship and you can't do this at a big school. And oh my goodness, I really do have to remember to touch point things. And I didn't even think about it in the personal, right? But it's really applicable, right? Because when I tell a story, when I'm speaking about building relationships, I actually use a story of my daughter applying to college. And then I use a business story, right? So we see this isn't in a business manual. This is a life manual that will enhance your business and help you scale when you do it well.
So well said. And that there's no mistake. It's not a mistake. It's intentional that you are a prolific businesswoman, a successful, prolific businesswoman, and a prolific speaker, right? I don't think that there were two unrelated things that just were kind of happenstance. When you get up on a stage and you're third party verified, or you get on somebody's podcast and you're you're in the top echelon of podcasts, you're following, you you basically would not have brought me on if you're not endorsing me on some level. Your following is automatically going to bring down their guard. Automatically going to open up their ears a little bit more to me, not because of me at first, at least, because of you, because they trust you. And there's no other way, there's no other shortcut to really getting into the hearts and minds of people than having someone else bring you into the space that
Right.
they've created, because the audience is there. They're ready to hear that subject matter, and they're there because they trust that host that put that either platform, show, event, whatever it is, together. So I love that you said that right out of the gate. Right out of the gate, you're not dumping the content, dumping the information. You're actually, your first order of business is to create community and connection. Because if you don't
Correct.
get that, you're wasting the rest of your time.
If a speaker doesn't connect the audience, take a bow and exit, because you're wasting your time, and more importantly, you're wasting these valuable people's time that they should be connecting to one another. They've taken time out of an important business, important life to be at some place that they're seeing you speak. And you have to be honored and incredibly respectful that they built this time out, and you have to go above and beyond to deliver. And in that delivery, the step one is the connection. If you're not connecting to your audience, so here, can I share a funny story?
Please, yes.
Okay, I was speaking at a Bar Association Foundation event. Okay, I was the first speaker to go off, and I was practicing, and everybody had, and so for the speakers who are following and listening, we each had 7 minutes. And if you think it's easy, it's easier to speak for 60 minutes, 45 minutes, 30 minutes, 20 minutes. 7 minutes is it. I mean, I knew the other, and these are all professional speakers that were getting up, and we were chatting before. A few of us knew each other, like, damn, this was hard. I haven't pitched like this, been on this game, like this was hard stuff.
Yeah.
And the organizer looks at me, she goes, Avi, I'm going to kick off, I'd like you to open. And once I give the opening remarks, I'd like you to be the first presentation. It's like, okay. So I prepped my first opening, and I was practicing the day before. And when I asked my husband to sit down, I said, just, listen. And I've been known to put my kids' stuffed animals around the room, pillows to talk to and practice to. And I asked a question, and he goes, what if they don't answer it? And I said, what do you mean? And he goes, well, you're opening with a question. What if nobody responds? And I was like, that never happens. 24 hours later, opening remarks for the event, I come out, and this was very much post-COVID. So I said, isn't it great to be here in person? How do you feel, ladies and gentlemen, about being at a live event? Dead silence. Dead silence, right? So we're talking about connection. So you have to be prepared. I said, how many of you have been going out to events before today? How many of you is that your first event? And then I just made a joke. I said, well, because you're really out of practice. I asked you a question, nobody responded. I figured this is all your first event. Let's practice this again. So, right. And at that point, they were laughing and engaged. But but our job is to create that connection. And if you're open and lot, you have to be ready and on your game.
That was brilliant. And you rebounded because you were about the connection. If you were about the bullet points and the next thing you were going to say, it can get awkward really quickly. And once an audience feels sorry for you, you've lost the
You've
game.
lost it.
You've lost it. But if your best friend flubs, or somebody that you're just casually I don't know, you're meeting for lunch or for a business luncheon, right? And they trip on the way in. You're like, "Oh my goodness, are you okay?" And they laugh. It's all good.
Right.
But if it's trying to be over formalized, then it can get really awkward really quick. So remember, they're people. You're a person. It's really just the only thing that's different is you happen to be standing on a stage, they happen to be sitting down. And it's a mindset shift, right? You look at those people as friendly human beings that
Mhm.
want to be there, not anybody that you have to impress. It feels pretty basic, but it's a major mindset shift. Uh, when you talked about a 7-minute talk versus a 60-minute talk, that is so true. That's why TED Talks are so difficult. You're getting a whole concept out there in a very short, compressed amount of time. Am I quoting this right? I think it was Mark Twain that said, if I had more time, I would write a shorter letter.
Yeah.
It's because it's harder to get down to what's really important. Take out all the fluff,
Right.
take out of and still keep it engaging and relevant, right?
It's
So
true.
absolutely love.
I did a TED Talk last year, and it's you truly have to be, spot on. And I'm delivering a talk for an event called Speak Events, that is also about less than 10 minutes. And it, you have to know your content, and this is live audience. You have a responsibility to engage with this audience, or that video is going to look like, yeah, not so good.
Right. And they're not going to remember what you say. They're going, like you kind of alluded to a little bit ago, is they're going to remember how you made them feel.
100%.
That only comes through connection. So if you're all up here in your head, you want to dump all your knowledge on, that's really kind of an ego move, right? How much are you really going to be able to impart in 7 minutes or even 60 minutes? Really, it's just you're opening eyes in any given talk to a possibility, to the fact that they're more. And when you're a speaker and you do this brilliantly, Ivy, that's just the first step to a journey. A talk is never a talk. It's the first step in a journey to you. I hear you talk, whether it's 7 minutes or 60 minutes. Wow, she really touched me. She got to me. She's got me thinking about some things. I'm going to go buy her book. I'm going to start listening to her podcast. I'm going to go to slatersuccess.com and start really digging into what else she had. Because if she could do that in 60 minutes, what more am I really going to be able to glean from her expertise and the style of her delivery, to get me to the next level that I'm wanting to get to?
It's so true. The speech, the talk, if it's however length of time, even a half day or a day training session, that's a piece of the journey. The journey is the true potential relationships you're building with the potential clients, connections, referral sources that are
Yes.
listening to you or engaging to you or creating that relationship with you. And that's where that golden nugget, that true success sits, because that's your long-term business endurance. It's your long-term longevity of clients.
When did it click for you that, okay, I'm a business consultant. I help business people, right? What light bulb went out? Like, how did you decide I'm going to start speaking as well? And that's really going to help me grow my business.
Um, so it might surprise some, but in the heart of hearts, I am a true introvert. Okay. So I grew up dancing, hence the bar, which is Barre, as in ballet. But I did all forms of dance. I grew up performing, so performing was great, but I would never speak. I
Mm,
truly never spoke. I was not comfortable speaking. I didn't trust myself. I never felt smart. I never felt what I had to say was smart. And there's a whole back. That's actually the presentation I'm giving at the end of this month. And it was really challenging when I was told, like, that's, as a natural networker, speaking is your way to go. And then, online marketing, I just never, I was like, this is so impersonal. This is not me. This is, and we do a lot of social media stuff, but we don't do online marketing. And I kept saying, can I do that? Do I want to do this? And then there's one thing about Ivy the dancer that comes through from childhood. When I make a decision to do something, as difficult as it is, as much as I don't want to, I'm going to do it. Come hell or high water, very clearly. I will, if I decide, when as a kid, if it was the triple pirouette and I fell on my butt numerous times, I just kept getting up and doing it. So I started, small. I started speaking out a little bit at networking groups, and they'd like, oh, we need somebody to do like 5 minutes. I was like, I'll do 5 minutes, And then I gained more confidence. I invested very big into a speaking program. I said, if I'm going to do this, I'm going to learn it. I'm going to learn it well. And I always heard about and knew about from when I was performing in theater. I was the dancer. So I was surrounded by people who are vocal. So I understood the concept of speaking from, your gut, your belly, right? And not speaking from your chest. So conceptually, I got this. I kind of knew the components. I didn't have the guts to run with it until I said, this business is going to be successful. And if this is one of the ways I can do this, I can look at this as a performance. And I'm going to do this. And if as many times as I fail, I will just do it. And that was the decision. I trained, I practice. I will, I take some deep breaths always. And I'll say one of the greatest things that helped me, if you want to laugh, is a bunch of years ago, I was listening to, this is a bunch of years ago, I was listening to an interview with Nathan Lane, the actor.
I know who he is. Yep.
Yeah. I've seen him on Broadway numerous times. I'm from New York. And, he was asked, do you ever get like stage fright before you go on? You do 8 performances a week on a regular basis. And he goes, I feel like I'm going to vomit before the curtain comes up every night.
Wow.
And I'm like, really? And then he goes on and he says, that's what keeps me sharp and that's what keeps me fresh. And I put the connection is because I truly, before I go on, I was like, I don't know this. I don't know this. What if I fail? I could run the whole dialogue in my head. I ground myself. I take deep breaths. And I said, I know what I know. I've been a businesswoman for 30 some odd years. And I'm here to gift knowledge to help somebody. This isn't about me. This isn't about me being right. This isn't about me tripping. If I trip, I will pick myself up. I'm here to help somebody. I'm here to share any way I can to help other people. That is my purpose. And I go.
And that took you from the introvert. That, you know what? That's beautiful. And that's what it's all about. Audiences can read that if you're there for them or if you're there for you. And when you're there for you, that's when the anxiety really grows, right? And because you got to do it perfect, and it's all about you and how are they thinking about me and what are they thinking and is everything just right? Versus you're there for them. You have knowledge they're there to receive, and that's what they care about, right? That's what they care about is what am I going to get for sitting in this seat with my unrenewable resource, my one major unrenewable resource in this world, time, what am I going to get for sitting in this seat and listening to Ivy Slater? She's beautiful, but what am I going to get for this? So absolutely love that you said that, because that is key. Do you feel like your business, Slater Success, would be where it is if you decided, I'm an introvert, I'm not going to put myself through getting on stages, getting on TV, getting on radio, even, which
Yeah.
podcast is a form of radio?
Not at all. Not at all. My business, is a piece of the business, especially in a lot of businesses today, is thought leadership. As thought leaders, people want to hear our point of view. Some people take our point, right, our thought leadership in various ways. Sometimes people are readers.
Mhm.
Sometimes they're listeners. They're going to be listening to podcasts or the radio or a variety of other things. And some people love seeing speakers live. So if I was actually going to build this company with the dedication that I believed I was going to, I had to show up at 100% in all ways, or it's a hobby because I'm not taking it 100% seriously. There's been plenty of things I have not wanted to do as a business owner at various times of my life that I have done. When I owned a printing company for 20 odd years, did I want to lie on a conference table at 3 in the morning because there was no couch as we were running presses through the night? And I needed to close my eyes. I happened to be 7 months pregnant at the time,
Oh my
right?
gosh.
And there was no couch. There was
I'm
a conference table with
envisioning the whole
chairs.
thing.
And I was like, the conference table is more comfortable than the chair. So if I'm going to close my eyes until they need me, I'm going to lie on the table and put my head down. Bottom line, did I want to do that on a regular basis? Did I want to do it at all? No. Was it part of my responsibility in the business that I ran? 100%. If you're going to run a business, you have to do everything. Some people don't like to look at their numbers. You have to look at them. You need to know everything.
Mhm.
It's the responsibility you take. I'm very passionate about that. Can you tell?
Absolutely. And I'm so glad that you brought up the whole concept of introvert versus extrovert. I think that people have in their mind, extroverts, it's easy for them. They can get in front of people. It's all good, right? A lot of times they're very disorganized. Who knows? And introverts, they can't. They would rather die than get up there. Really, to me, because I'm a sister introvert, and so I'd love to go down this path just for a moment. If I believe you're probably on the same page with this. Tell me if I'm off a bit. I can do the thing. I'm determined. I'm fully invested. Whatever I do, I'm going to do my best at. But when I get on a stage, I need time. I need time to recover. Whereas you put my husband, who is a definite extrovert, in front of people in a big crowd of people, and he is energized, like that feeds his energy. So really, introvert and extrovert doesn't mean shy or outgoing. It really means more about, how do you refuel? Do you
Mhm.
refuel alone in retreat, or do you refuel around people? So don't use that as an excuse for not getting on
Yeah.
on a stage.
You're spot on. You're 100% spot on. I know if I'm speaking at a conference, I like to be at the conference a couple of days. I like to connect with people. I think it's important. Get a chance to get to know people, give people a chance to get to know me, not just from the stage, but as a person. Again, that relationship thing.
Yeah.
When I come home from that, I need some quiet time.
Yep. Yeah,
You know?
absolutely. So
I'm
I,
very happy. I get on a plane, I go into the window seat, and like other than smiling at this, like the flight attendant who might be coming back offering something to eat or drink, I'm like, I'm done. I'm not like looking like people like, oh my God, like it's classic extroverts. They go to a conference, they're flying home, they're like, yeah, I was talking to the person next to me, I got their business guy, and I did this. I was like, I don't need to talk to anybody. I need quiet time.
Oh my gosh, you're so right. I'll go to a grocery store. I just want to get my things right and get out of there. And my husband is making best friends with everybody in the line. Everybody at the meat counter, everybody, at every counter. I'm like, oh God, can we just go home? But yeah, we all kinds. It takes all kinds. And when it comes to scaling a business and when it comes to building relationships, both of those have, if you are unwilling to get your voice out there and get on stages or somehow get your voice out there through a book, through podcasts, through media, however it is, um, you're really cutting yourself off at the knees in a big way. So,
If you're going to build a business, you want to take every opportunity. Opportunity is presented all over the place. We have to be open to it to see it. We don't always like the opportunities, how they show up, and we step into them anyway.
mhm,
When I got called, this is a crazy story. I got called to do a segment on Good Morning Sacramento or something like that a while ago. This is when pre-COVID, right? And I was like, oh yeah, this is gonna work. I'm gonna be in California. The person who was booking me, like, it's like, yeah, this is my travel schedule the next, quarter. Give it to them. They got it, right? And so I had this whole, not a problem, got it booked, it's done. And then the fires started in the wine country where I was vacationing.
mm-hmm.
So we never made it to the wine country. We made it as far as LA to see my son. And my husband's like, and I go out a few days early, always for business. My husband joins me, spend a few days with my son and now his wife. And we pop down. He's like, you know what? Let's go to my sister has my sister's family. Like they have a place in Cabo. Like we pop to Cabo to visit them instead. Instead of going north. So now I'm like, okay. I call like, is this whole Sacramento thing? I mean, what's the evacuation like? Like, where am I going? What am I doing? What am I doing with my flights? What am I like? I'm now in Mexico. So I flew to Mexico. I was in Mexico for 24 hours waiting on the ABC affiliate to say yes or no. And then all of a sudden they say, we're going with it because so the people who are not media people, when you have a big event like a fire, all the small segments get pulled.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Okay. So I didn't know if I was going to Sacramento or we were getting pulled for now.
Right.
Okay. I realized I didn't explain that. I get to 24 hours in Mexico and I get the call, where it go?
Mm.
Get to Sacramento.
Oh my goodness.
So we fly to, I fly. It's, believe me, I was lying on the beach. I was supposed to be on a vacation. We were sure, listen, we got the wineries and everybody, the hotels in the wine country called us and said, don't come. We're all evacuating.
Mm-hmm.
The fire is headed south, stay out of this whole region. So I assumed, never do that. It is, and then I own a company. More than anything, I 100% deliver on my commitments and my responsibility. And I think that's what leadership is, so I took 2 planes to get to Sacramento at that moment. I drove for an hour, not having anywhere. They booked me some hotel that I walked into at midnight. I was in hair and makeup at 5 a.m. And at noon, I was back on a flight, 2 flights to Mexico.
Oh my goodness.
Okay. It's responsibility and commitment. It's part of being a leader. It's part of owning a business. And it's, there's a great expression that says we're all leaders. It's how do we want to lead?
Mm-hmm. Ivy, I love that you said all of that is so beautiful. If you're in, be in, right? You also said do the things you don't want to do. And I think we're in a society that says don't do what you want to do. If it doesn't feel good, don't do it. If it doesn't feel good, walk away. I mean, you see the memes every time you turn on Facebook. That to me, that's the fastest recipe to not scale. You mentioned you may not love numbers. You may not want to know how many companies have been embezzled because somebody just said, I don't want to know. You just take care of it, right? You do the things that you don't want to do so that you can do the things that you want to do. You show up fully, you have integrity, all the beautiful qualities that you are. And I think you just gave us a whole textbook and really that one story of how to scale a business, how to build relationships. Be there when you say you're going to be there. Even if you're on a beach and you really don't want to get back on that plane, that's not a fun travel either. Mexico to California, it can be a hard travel.
It was going through customs 4 times in like 40, in less than 72 hours.
Oh my goodness.
Probably
Yeah.
48, but let's not count that.
All right. One more tip with regards to scaling, utilizing your voice
Mhm.
as a means to really put yourself on the map, right? How did you get that very first engagement? And how did you scale speaking to support the scaling of your own company?
The very first engagements was the raising of the hand. When somebody said, oh, there's something, blah, blah, in the library, I'll do that. Right. At the beginning, it was, I knew I needed experience. I needed testimonial. I needed experience. I needed practice, and I needed testimonials. So at the beginning, my fee was a testimonial. It has scaled since then. Okay. But I knew I needed the clout, right? It's, the old, it goes back to that dancer in me. I remember auditioning for summer stock. How do you get a SAG card? Well, you can't audition here without a SAG card, but you can't get a SAG card without audition, right? It's that catch-22. So
Mm-hmm.
I said, okay, I need testimonials. I need people saying they saw me speak. I need people saying they booked me to speak and it was good. So I started, not embarrassed to say, with zero. My fee was a testimonial. Then we started building from there, right? I invested heavily in speaker training on really how to carry myself through the stage, how to craft a speech, etc., how to deliver well. It's business. I take my work very seriously. Then I started, honestly, looking and asking. I'm an avid networker. In the communities I do business and the communities that I network, I was like, does anybody know anybody who is looking for somebody to speak at, any local events or conferences or summits or seminars? And it's like when you do your networking group and it's like, what do you ask for? I was like, oh, I have some time in the next, 6 months to add in 3 speaking engagements. Does anybody know anybody to connect me to? These are the types of places I would like to speak. So, right. So I went from free to that, started increasing the price point and increasing the clout, right? The audience, the industry. I've hired people to book me to speak numerous times. Okay. This is a business. I don't shy away from investing when investing is correct at that time.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So I think, and I am avidly connected to a lot of other speakers, and we're constantly talking and passing things around. And I'll say one more thing. I try to spend 30 minutes a week looking at different things by myself.
Different things meaning?
So there's different lists out there. There's different people who compile different things. like go out and see what is there anything that I'm not aware of? Is that, oh, this is, I do a lot of work in the legal space, in the finance space, in the technology space. What is going on in those industries? When are there conferences? Right? If they're 6 months, if they're 6 months away, what should I be on? I was just looking at something that's in New York City in September. I'm like, you know, who's the contact? How should I be reaching out to this person? That makes a ton of sense. So I am, and my clients, my relationships with my clients, when I mention to my clients, they're involved in organizations and associations.
Ah, this is so brilliant. So I mean, you're a successful businesswoman. You're not just crossed arms, kicking back, waiting for the opportunities to come to you, right? That's incredible. That's amazing.
I'll always say, like, when I stop learning and when I stop doing is the day that I kind of lay down and I'm done for life. One of my team members the other day said, Ivy, you run on a pretty high voltage. And I'm like, yeah, I've always had a high energy. I just, opportunities are presented to us an enormous amount. We don't see them if we're not out avidly looking for opportunities.
Hmm.
I truly, truly believe it. That's that connection of us taking the actions and opportunities being present out there. If we're sitting back, we're not taking the action, we don't see anything. And
Right.
hence there are no opportunities.
And the fact that you said the fee was your testimonial. Brilliant. Right. There are still ways to monetize. You get host checks and then
100%.
you can have audience monetization, right? So even in those early days, there's still ways to do that, but that you weren't so above it that you didn't know the value of a testimonial. And then you also said
It
that
was
you,
the testimonial that was as much in that point. That was a bigger paycheck than anything else I needed right then, because without that, I couldn't do anything. I
right.
couldn't go from $100 to 500, 1,000 to 5,000 to that. I couldn't have done anything without that. That was what gold. That was what diamonds in that moment.
Yes. Tactically, when you agreed, like you spoke with the host, the planner, the organizer, and you said, okay, I'm going to do this. I'm not going to charge you. Did you upfront say, but my payment will be a video test? Like, how did you establish that up front with the planner that you were going to want a video testimonial, an honest one, but you were going to want some sort of testimonial from them?
Yes,
What was
absolutely.
what were your words? What did you say?
I would look at them. This is very IBS. It's like, so we're both business people. Yeah, and that's how I open this up. Yeah, we're both business people. And you usually get like some kind of crack of a smile and say, so I'm happy to do this. And you do know I would normally charge. What if we create a special category that doesn't hit the bank, but hits somewhere else? So if I ask you to do a testimonial or a video testimonial, that would be my payment. Would that work with you? They're so happy that they're not paying you, to be very honest. Like, oh, got another one in. We don't, we had a budget. We have 5 speakers. We had a budget for $500. So we really have $500 to give the best person. We have to get the rest of the other 4 in for nothing. How are we going to do that? Right? It's you have to, first of all, you have to have the integrity within yourself to know your value. You're between the writing, the practicing, the going, the prep, etc. And when people say to me, well, you'll make money from the audience. And I smile at them, I say, yes, I will. That has nothing to do with me coming out and doing that.
Right. Knowing your value. That's it.
You have to know your value.
And you established that up front. It wasn't an afterthought. It wasn't oh, I hope they'll give me a testimonial. You had them commit ahead of time. Brilliant. So brilliant. And I think you get better testimonials out of that. And so then when you pull them aside, I this is what I always recommend. I'd like to hear your thoughts on this, but you get the testimonial right when they're excited, like right after they hear you, not a week later when they try to remember, oh yeah, she was really good, but they're out of that excitement. So how technically did you wind up getting that testimonial?
Here's a little tip. Here's a phone. You booked me. I came off stage. Thank you so much. Blah, 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 blah. I will find you that either that if you have a moment at that moment or that day, and it's like, remember we said we're going to do that video? Hey, number one, let's take a picture together. I want to post it and I want to highlight you,
Great.
right? So we give to receive. It's a very funny thing in life.
Give to receive.
Right? If we want to receive, we have to be open-hearted and we want to give. The next I would say, I know this might sound crazy, but let's do this right now. I'm going to ask you a couple of questions, just answer them.
Ah, brilliant. So good. And
And,
yes, our phones are like the best camera 10 years ago, right?
you know, and be ready, you know, ask the question, why did you book Ivy Slater? What makes you happy with that choice? What was the impact for the audience?
Mm. So those
Your
write
your
those
back end
questions
team,
down, everybody.
the
Write
videos,
those down.
yes. Oh, I'm sorry. And then the videos could be edited. You can ask them a question, just have them write. Just do it. Help them. When we wait for something, then we're playing that chase me game.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't really like that game. I was not good at it growing up. Like that running around tag game, I was really not good at. So why am I going to play it at this point in my life?
Well, and how much more powerful is it in the space, right? Where there's a little bit of background noise, a little like they're sitting at their desk giving the testimonial. It's just a different energy. So I love that you figured that out on your own. I will go a step further because some of those conference halls can be pretty echoey, but you can pick up one of these at pretty much on Amazon, $20, like not much. They stick it right on the phone and it takes away kind of the echoey sound. But if you don't have that, our phones are magnificent and take the selfie. Really love the way that you did it. Now, as far as releases, what I do, I'd like to hear what you do. What I do is I say, okay, so much of that was really quotable. I loved it. Thank you for sharing your heart. Do you mind? Now you've established it ahead of time, so they've already given you that permission. But let's just say you've just spoken and you grab somebody and ask them for some input on your talk. Do you mind if I wind up sharing some clips of this? Oh no, go ahead. Great. What's your first name and the state you're from? And then you don't have to have anything signed. They've said it right there on video. So that's your release right there.
I love that you use that as a teaching moment because that is brilliant because releases are important.
Yeah, it can bite you. I mean, it rarely does, but when it does, it's an oucher.
Yeah.
All right. So we can go on because you have so much more to give. And we will be doing a live coming up in February sometime. So everybody go to speakpact.com and sign up to know when we're going to be doing a live interactive interview together with Ivy. You'll be able to ask her questions in real time and make sure you're there. And the only way you're going to get that invitation, it's free, but the only way you're going to get that invitation is go to speakpact.com and sign up. I'm going to have you one more time, let everybody know how they can reach you. And then I have one last question that we close out the show with. It's the theme of the show. So again, I'll let you say it.
So feel free to go to slatersuccess.com, follow her success story. Okay. You could find all the resources actually to make it very easy for you. If you go to slatersuccess.com, you will find a link to my book, Bard at the Board, from the Bard at the Boardroom. You will find the podcast. You will find we did some Slater Success Lives video shows for a while. All these resources, all of my videos, my teaching moments, they're all on there as resources. Also, you could always find me on LinkedIn. Pop into LinkedIn. That's my resource every day.
If you are serious about scaling your business, you want to hook up with Ivy Slater. I love her podcast, her success story. Definitely become a listener there and look her up. She's just one idea that I get from Ivy. It's just like, this can last me a month. I can do this, implement it. It's implementable. And this is really going to take my business to the next level. So thank you for bringing all of your, what you said, 30 years of high level success right here in this room today. I feel very, very honored. So this is what I ask every guest at the very end, and you don't get a preview. So this is going to be raw and real, right? So the show is Speak Pact. And my passion is that we all make a pact with one another to really go out there and make an impact in this world. So Ivy, what is your mandate? What's a challenge you can give this audience? What's a pact you want to make with this audience with regards to getting their voice out there and making a difference?
I'm going to present a challenge. Find 30 minutes a week. You could do it in 10-minute increments. You could do it in 5-minute increments. It's going to be a 2-part. Find places you want to speak, and then every week ask at least 1 to 3 people if they know any connections to the industries you want to be speaking at.
Mm. That's a really good one.
If
And
you
I
don't
love that
ask, you don't receive.
if you don't ask, you don't receive. You started at the grassroots. You started right there in your own space. When I say space, it could be in your neighborhood or within your sphere of relationships. It's not so many times we come across speakers that are just wanting to speak, like they're just starting out and they already want to step onto those $20,000-$30,000 stages. You were brilliant enough to know that's not how to do it, that you speak for the testimonial. You speak at maybe places where people haven't really gotten maybe to that level in business that you're in quite yet, but it all has such value. So I take your challenge. All right. So 30 minutes in a week. It can be in 10-minute increments. Find places that you want to speak where your right fit people are, right?
Do your research, and then 3 asks a week.
3 asks a week. All right. You heard it from Ivy Slater.
And
Go
that's
out there.
very small. That is very, very small. That is not building a platform of a professional speaker. They do much, much more than that. That's running a business full time with staff and numerous clients, right?
Yeah.
That's a small ask. If you're looking to do this full time, take that 3 and put a 0 on it.
Yeah, thank you for saying that. You are so right. It is not as easy as that. It's a good start. It gets the ball rolling, right? If you're terrified, right? Get into the habit. But if you are, thank you for saying that, Ivy. That's so true. That's why I'm an agent, right? It takes hundreds per month to really move the needle. And consistency is key. But I love that challenge, that just build that muscle where it becomes part of your routine, where you research, you reach out, and you just make it part of your commitment to yourself and to your business. Yeah, brilliant. Thank you for that challenge. That's
You're welcome.
nobody else has come close to that challenge. So thank you. That's brilliant. And again, thank you for the time that you've given us. It's an unrenewable resource, and you've given your precious time to us. I don't take that lightly.
And
Thank you for
thank
that.
you for the opportunity and having me on the show. And every time we talk, we have a good time.
We sure do. All the bumps and and kooky things that happen. We had some tech issues today. So, but we powered through just for you, just for this audience. And I'm so glad we did. There was some brilliance that took place. So thank you, Ivy, and I hope to see you again very soon.
Hope to see you as well.
All right. Ciao,
Thank
ciao for
you.
now. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.